Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today, we're looking at something pretty unique,
Okay.
the Azul Fang of Saturn.
Interesting.
Yeah, and all this is from this Azul Fang of Saturn guide.
I see.
And, I think a lot of us, when we think of magical weapons,
Mm-hmm.
especially in fantasy, we think, swords, sorcery, battles, conquests, all that kind of classic stuff.
Yeah.
But this is described as a karmic executor.
Right. Which
Which right away.
is something else entirely. It really kind of makes you rethink
Yeah.
what a weapon is, even in this fantastical context.
I think so too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when I see that term, karmic executor,
Yeah.
it makes me think, like, this isn't just about, like, causing harm.
Yeah.
It's about enacting consequences,
Absolutely.
restoring balance.
It's like cosmic justice wielded by a single person.
Whoa. Cosmic justice by a single person.
Yeah.
That's
It's a big responsibility.
a heavy responsibility.
Yeah.
So, and the guide emphasizes that responsibility right from the start.
Right from the start.
It talks about the Fang choosing its wielder
Yeah.
and forming this, like, unique bond
Yeah.
called the Karmic Oath. And this isn't something you can just, like, pass down or trade away.
Not at all. This bond, this karmic oath, is described as incredibly strong.
Yeah.
And the consequences of breaking it are, well, let's just say
Okay.
you would not want to find out.
So it sounds like this isn't like your, like,
No.
typical magical sword that anyone can just pick up and use.
Right. Like, we're talking the Fang becoming impossibly heavy if stolen,
Oh, wow.
or vanishing entirely if abandoned.
So it's like it has a will of its own or something,
Yeah.
making sure it stays with the right break.
Precisely. And it really raises the question,
Yeah.
like, what kind of person does the Fang choose? What qualities make someone worthy of that power?
That's a good question, because if I had to guess,
Hmm.
I would say it's someone who understands that, every action,
Yeah.
especially those taken with a Fang, have consequences.
Yeah, irreversible consequence.
Irreversible consequences. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now that's something that really makes you think. I mean, most stories,
Right.
even, fantasy stories, they always give you, like, some wiggle room,
Right.
like chance for redemption,
Yeah.
change of heart. But it sounds like it makes things permanent.
Yeah, that permanence is really a key aspect of the Fang's power.
Okay.
And it's something that, we'll definitely explore as we go into more detail about its abilities. But even before we get into the mechanics of how the Fang works,
Yeah.
let's take a closer look at its design.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because even the physical form, there's deeper meaning kind of woven in there, in every little detail.
What I was going to say, because in the guide,
Yeah.
they mention Damascus steel,
Yes.
camel bone,
Mm-hmm.
and even a golden claw guard.
Right. Yeah.
And so it sounds like something, a king would wield.
Yeah.
Not some cosmic judge,
And yet each element is so carefully chosen to symbolize the Fang's true purpose.
Okay.
So, for example, the Damascus steel with its swirling patterns,
Yeah.
that represents the interconnected nature of fate. It's like this reminder that everything's connected, you know?
Right.
Actions have these ripple effects.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But what about the camel bone? It just seems
Yeah.
like an odd choice for something like this,
Yeah, but the camel
Mhm.
is known for its resilience, its
Mhm.
ability to navigate these harsh environments.
Right.
And in this context,
Yeah.
it symbolizes the wielder's journey,
Mm-hmm.
their ability to endure hardship, navigate the complexities of fate.
So even the handle is sending a message.
Exactly.
This Fang doesn't miss a beat, does it?
It's very intentional, yeah.
And then there's this golden claw guard
Yes.
that I was going to ask about, which just makes it look kind of menacing,
It is striking, but it's not about intimidation.
Right.
The golden claw represents judgment, discernment.
Okay.
It symbolizes that role as a tool that separates truth from falsehood,
Right.
right from wrong. It's a reminder to the wielder to use their power wisely, with consideration.
So it's like the Fang is saying, think before you strike.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But what happens when it's not in use? Like, does it just sit there?
That's where things get particularly interesting.
Okay.
The guide describes something called the whisper of absence.
The whisper of absence.
Yeah. And it suggests that the fang isn't always physically present.
Hold on. So it can disappear.
It's not a disappearance in the literal sense. It's more of a withdrawal. The presence becomes muted.
Muted, okay.
Yeah, the wielder might feel this sense of emptiness, like a subtle awareness that its full power isn't readily available.
I see. So it's not just about the fang choosing the wielder. It's about the fang deciding when its power is actually needed, right?
Precisely. And this whisper of absence, it isn't a punishment.
Okay.
It's more like a period of growth, a time for the wielder to reflect, to learn, to prepare for challenges to come, because the fang will return when it's truly needed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when the wielder's ready to face that crucial decision.
Yeah.
A moment where action is unavoidable.
Okay. So it's like the fang is saying, like, take some time, understand the weight of what you carry.
Yeah.
I'll be back when you're truly ready.
A very apt interpretation.
Okay.
And it leads us to another crucial aspect of the fang. Its connection to Saturnian Law.
Saturnian Law.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Saturn's a planet, but what does it have to do with a magical weapon?
Well, in astrology,
Yeah.
Saturn is associated with time, discipline, and the inevitability of consequences.
Right.
Structure, limitations, the lessons learned through hardship.
Okay. So it's not just about wielding power, it's about understanding the constraints of that power.
Exactly.
Respecting the natural order of things.
Precisely. And that's really what makes the fang so unique.
Yeah.
It's not a tool of destruction. It's a tool of balance, of cosmic accountability.
Right.
A reminder that every action has a reaction, every choice has a consequence.
And those consequences, as we've learned, are inescapable, especially when you're dealing with the Azul Fang.
That leads us to a really crucial question. If wielding the fang means accepting this burden of responsibility, this constant awareness of consequence, who in their right mind would want such a thing?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And what actions, what decisions would truly be worthy of the fang's power?
Yeah, big questions. We'll have to explore those further.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about this fang.
Yeah.
It's not your average, fantasy weapon. It's this karmic executor, bound by this serious oath, tied to all this Saturnian law stuff. But how does all that actually play out? What can this thing do?
Well, that's where the guide really gets into the specifics. It goes beyond just these descriptions of cosmic justice.
Right.
And really dives into the fang's specific abilities.
Right.
And some of them are, they're pretty mind-blowing.
Lay it on me. What can this thing do? What makes it so different from a sword that shoots lightning?
Okay, so for one, it can actually make an action irreversible.
Irreversible.
Yeah. Imagine striking a decisive blow, not just physically, but metaphysically,
Okay.
Whatever you do with the fang, it becomes set in stone, woven into the fabric of reality.
No take-backs, huh? It's a lot of pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about buyer's remorse. Exactly.
It really demands this level of certainty from the wielder, a clarity of purpose that I think most people would struggle with,
Yeah.
It challenges the very notion of free will and consequence.
Yeah.
Because with the fang, there is no undoing what's been done.
It makes you think about all those stories where, the hero gets a second chance or the villain changes their mind at the last minute.
Right.
With this thing, those tropes are gone.
Yeah. It really introduces this finality that's rare to see even in fantasy.
Right.
And it really underscores that Saturnian influence we were talking about. Saturn's associated with time, right? And time only moves forward.
So it's like the fang is a physical manifestation of that concept. Making each action this concrete step on this predetermined path.
A path that the wielder, to some extent, helps shape.
Right.
But the guide also talks about this ability of the fang to kind of anchor the wielder, both physically and in their resolve.
What does that mean?
So imagine standing firm, unyielding, even in the middle of chaos. It's about grounding yourself, resisting outside forces, things that might sway you from your chosen course.
So not only does it make actions permanent, it makes the wielder like unwavering
Yeah.
in their commitment to those actions.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, it sounds pretty intense.
And it ties back into that concept of Saturnian discipline.
Right.
Resisting temptation, doubt, all that. The Fang demands that the wielder be resolute, committed to seeing things through, no matter the cost.
Okay, but that also kind of suggests a level of protection too, right? Like it's helping the wielder to stay true to their purpose.
Absolutely.
Even when things get tough.
Yeah, it's not just about limiting choices. It's about providing strength, like a sense of certainty in a world that's, often really chaotic and unpredictable.
Okay. So the guide also says that it can seal an object's fate.
Yes.
Okay, what does that even mean? Like sealing an object's fate.
Yeah. So think of it this way, as deciding like the ultimate outcome for something, whether it flourishes or perishes, is preserved or destroyed. The guide doesn't go into great detail.
Right.
But it seems to suggest that by touching an object with the fang, the wielder can really influence its destiny, set it on this course that can't be altered.
So it's not just about people and their actions.
Right.
It's about objects and their purpose, Like you're influencing the fabric of reality itself.
Exactly. And that leads us to, I think, maybe the most fascinating and kind of dangerous ability.
Yeah.
The power to cut through the veil.
The veil. Okay, now we're getting into some seriously mystical stuff. What is the veil?
It's not really explicitly defined in the guide, but it seems to be referring to a barrier between our world and other realms of existence.
Other realms, okay. So like a separation between the physical and the metaphysical.
Yeah, the seen and the unseen.
Okay, so it's like this cosmic curtain, and the fang can just slice right through it.
Yeah.
That's kind of terrifying.
It's definitely a power that demands the utmost respect and caution.
Yeah.
Because who knows what lies beyond that veil, right?
Yeah.
What forces might be unleashed if the wrong person kind of opened that door.
Whoa. Okay, so we got this weapon that can make actions irreversible, anchor the wielder, seal an object's fate, cut through dimensions. Is there anything this thing can't do?
Well, there is. There is one more aspect that I think is worth talking about.
Okay.
And it's kind of a paradox considering all these abilities we just discussed.
Oh, okay. A paradox.
Yeah.
How can something that rewrites reality be paradoxical?
It's not just about severance, about cutting things apart or setting them on an irreversible course.
Right.
The fang can also bind, contain, preserve.
So wait, we've got a cosmic scalpel and D8, a cosmic duct tape all in one.
That's one way to put it. The fang, it embodies both aspects of creation and destruction. The forces that shape and reshape our world.
Right.
It can sever ties, but it can also forge new connections. It can unleash chaos, but it can also impose order.
That's pretty profound. Like when you actually think about it, it suggests a balance to the fang's power.
Exactly.
Goes way beyond like just being a weapon.
It's a tool that reflects these fundamental forces of the universe.
Right.
The interplay of these opposing energies that create and destroy, bind and release.
Right.
And it's really up to the wielder to understand those forces, to wield them with wisdom and responsibility.
Which, as we've discussed, is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So how does this binding aspect actually work? Like, can you just wrap something in cosmic duct tape and call it a day?
The guide doesn't get that specific, but it does mention this ability to bind energies, to contain them within like a specific space or So imagine being able to trap a really powerful force, preventing it from causing harm, or maybe even harnessing that force, directing it toward a specific purpose.
So it's like a cosmic battery?
Yeah.
Or a magic pressure cooker?
Again, very, very creative analogies. But the key takeaway here is that the fang, it offers this level of control over energy that's almost unimaginable.
Right.
It's a power that could be used for good, for evil, for creation, destruction.
Yeah.
And that's really what makes it so compelling,
Yeah, it really makes you wonder what someone could actually do with it.
Yeah.
If they had the right intentions.
Imagine being able to contain a devastating plague or seal away a dangerous artifact, right?
Yeah.
The possibilities are really endless. But let's not forget the other side of that coin, right?
Right.
What if someone with malicious intent got a hold of it? What kind of havoc could they unleash?
That's a question I don't even want to think about.
It's a reminder that the fang, like any powerful tool, is only as good. or as evil as the person wielding it. And it brings us back to this fundamental question we've been wrestling with.
Yeah.
What kind of person is worthy of this kind of power?
What kind of qualities would allow someone to really use this for good?
Right.
To really embody that cosmic justice?
Perhaps that's a question that each of us needs to answer for ourselves.
Okay.
Because the Fang, in a way, it reflects our own inner struggles, right? Our own capacity for both good and evil.
Right.
It challenges us to confront that duality within ourselves, to choose a path and walk it with that unwavering resolve.
That's some deep stuff. But that's what I love about these deep dives. You know, it makes us think about ourselves, about the world in ways we might not otherwise.
Exactly. And as we continue this dive into the Azul Fang,
Yeah.
we'll go even further into its implications, its potential, and really the profound questions it raises about the nature of power, responsibility, and the choices that we all make.
So we've covered so much, you know, from this cosmic justice to like traveling between dimensions.
Yeah.
But I keep coming back to this, like, who would the Fang choose? Like, who could handle this power, you know, and actually use it wisely?
It's a question that really sticks with you.
Yeah.
And, you know, the guide doesn't really give us, like, a straightforward answer.
Right.
But it does offer some clues. Remember that whisper of absence idea?
Yeah, the Fang kind of, like, steps back when it's not needed.
Right, exactly.
Give the wielder that time to, you know, grow, learn.
And that, to me, suggests that the Fang isn't looking for, like, this perfect hero, you know, someone who's already got everything figured out. It seems to choose people with potential, people who are willing to learn, to question things, to even confront their own, you know, shortcomings.
So it's not about, like, being powerful. It's about being open to growth and change. That's pretty different, you know?
It is. It really challenges that, like, classic chosen one narrative.
Yeah. It does.
You know, the Fang seems to operate on this principle that true power comes from understanding, from taking responsibility, and from constantly trying to find balance, you know?
So it's not a gift. It's like, it's more like a tool.
It's a tool that helps people become worthy through their actions and choices.
It's almost like the Fang is like a teacher, you know, guiding the wielder on this path of self-discovery.
That's a really great way to put it. And it makes that karmic oath even more interesting. It's not just this binding contract. It's a commitment to a journey, this shared path of growth between the wielder and the Fang.
So let's say, like, you're chosen, right? You got this incredible kind of terrifying weapon.
Right.
What kind of actions would actually be worthy of wielding it?
Well, that's where things get really, really exciting because, you know, the possibilities are almost endless. The Fang could be used to defend people, to protect the balance of nature, you know, to right those wrongs that just can't be addressed through normal means.
But it's not just about using it, right? It's about understanding the consequences of those actions.
Yeah.
Wielding it with, like, restraint and wisdom.
Exactly. And it all goes back to that Saturnian influence, right?
Yeah.
Discipline, understanding that every action has, you know, a ripple effect. A wielder who's truly worthy of the Fang would have to really think about the long-term consequences, you know? Knowing that each time they use it, it's a step on this path that they can't turn back from.
So it's not like a quick fix or a rash decision.
Not at all.
It's about these choices that resonate through time.
Yeah.
That uphold justice, balance in the grand scheme of things.
And those choices are probably going to look different for everyone, you know? The Fang is a reflection of the person, right? Amplifying their strengths, their weaknesses, even their understanding of the world.
So there's no, like, one right answer to what's worthy. It's really about the wielder and their journey and
and their understanding of the Fang's purpose. Right.
And that's what I think makes this so interesting, you know. It challenges us to think beyond, like, that simple hero's journey or this basic idea of good and evil. It makes us look at power, responsibility.
It does.
The choices we make.
Right, in a world where our actions have these really lasting consequences.
And that is a great place to wrap things up. So if you were the wielder of the Azul Fang, what choice would you make? What would be worthy of its power, knowing that there's no going back, that your decision would change the world in ways you might never fully understand?
It's something to really think about, even if the Fang only exists in our imagination, right? Because the answers we find might actually tell us something about ourselves, about what we value, how we see the world, and the choices we make every single day.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the lore of the Azul Fang of Saturn. It's been a wild ride exploring this really unique idea, one that makes us think differently about power, responsibility, and the choices we make. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.